Jet boat marathon racing is the ultimate adrenaline rush you'll get on a river. 4 times world champion Mark Cromie joined the 2013 UIM World Jet Boat Marathon to bring you some of the stories from a world event that happens in New Zealand only once every 4 years. These are some of the stories.
Welcome to the Mark Cromie Holden Heli Otago World Jet Boat Marathon 2013, held in the South Island, New Zealand. Over 950 k's of racing on big rivers, small rivers, braided rivers, very skinny rivers like the Ariti with 12 to 15 cubics of water. Tomorrow's racing, which is 3 legs on the Waitaki, 400 cubics of water, a lot of water, big flowed river, one of the fastest flowing rivers we probably have in New Zealand. And of course, we've got Canadians over here. We've got a Mexican team, first time ever a Mexican team, absolutely fantastic to see. There's over 40 boats in this race, unlimited boats, gas turbine boats, piston engines, FX boats with a smaller crate engine, CX boats, which of course is a crate engine boat too. It'll be absolutely fantastic. 7 days of absolute brilliant jet boat racing.
3 ultimate unlimited boats lined up, 2 from New Zealand and 1 from Canada.
So we've got Gord Humphreys here all the way from Canada, and I know Gord's a pretty hard player in these gas turbines. He's running for quite a few years, and this boat is extremely fast. It's in that 140 mile an hour bracket, which is really hard to do. And Gord, you've been here for 2 weeks, pre-running all the rivers. How do you like our rivers compared with in Canada?
Oh, they're technical. They're good rivers, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a marathon from the start to the finish. It's just getting this big girl up and down these rivers and having a little bit of, just taking it easy.
So have you run aground at all, since you've been here in 2 weeks, like any pushing going on?
Well, I'm in New Zealand. Of course I've been pushing. You're not having a good day of boating if you're out pushing.
Yeah, and I've been up with Nigel, my son, and I've been pushing too, right? But these boats here will actually go over. I know your pre-run boat will not go over as shallow water as your gas turbine boat at high speed. These things run on virtually nothing.
Yeah, the water flow isn't going to be the problem. The tight corners are going to be a little bit of there's some tight corners into the willows, and it's going to be really tricky with these big boats and navigating that turbine, and it's going to be tricky, but you know what? That's what we brought, so that's what we're running.
So just explain to us about the turbine engine. What's it come out of, and what sort of power does it develop? And I know you've been running it for some time.
Yeah, these turbines that we're running, they're 8Fs, they're General Electric 8Fs and T58s. So they come out of Huey U.S. military helicopter. And they're 1,350 horse, and what we find with them is they're very reliable, they're dependable. Usually if we have any problems, it's nothing to do with the turbine. So
what sort of fuel do you run on this thing? Like, it'll run on diesel or kerosene or anything, but you'd probably just run it on the right fuel for it?
Yeah, we run it on Jet A. You can run diesel. It's probably not the best thing, but they'll almost burn anything. They'll burn gasoline, they'll burn anything you can pour at it, it'll burn. It's just the Jet A and kerosene are the 2 fuels of choice.
So our little cars that we run in New Zealand, as you would call them, because we have little cars, how would our fuel economy go in this thing? Like, what are we talking? Litres a minute is what we sort of probably talk over here.
Well, I'm in gallons, so I got to convert here, but it's 90 gallons an hour. So we're burning 400, close to 500 litres an hour.
Yeah, that's a lot of fuel, and it's a lot of weight to carry in the boat too in these small rivers. But you are right, technically, if you can get this boat in the rivers and these big waters and get a bit of lead on, slow down and perhaps the braided stuff, you'll do very, very well, because reliability is pretty good with these engines.
Yeah, discipline's going to be a big thing running these big boats. It's going to be a lot of discipline and just, your foot probably is going to be the downfall in this boat.
Hey John, what did you do then? It sounded pretty loud out there.
Oh, well, it's been probably a while. We haven't done a lot of testing, so the boys have just brought the boat through this morning from Christchurch, so we thought we had to make sure it started before this event happened tomorrow.
They've been pretty reliable. I mean, you're one of the guys that's probably the hardest guy to beat, because you've actually won this race 2 years in a row? 3 years in a row.
The boat's obviously very reliable. The turbines do tend to keep going. It obviously comes a bit more down to the driver and navigator if we can keep the boat in the water. But there's obviously some tight rivers this year. So it'll be a great battle, that's for sure.
So what do you think will be the toughest river for a boat this size? I mean, I'm looking at the river like the Ariti the other day, and it had like 12 or 14 cumecs. Hopefully, it's going to have a bit more than that.
Yeah, well, obviously they're rated to be one of the toughest ones, and I'd say if one of the bigger boats gets stuck in the front, everyone else will be behind them anyway. But the Tuk and the Dart would definitely be very challenging. So we haven't done a lot of pre-boating this year either, so it would definitely be a tough event.
So the starting sequence of this engine, just run through about what sort of revs it does and when you put the fuel in, and just tell us, because people are quite interested, how do you start these things, you know?
Well, these things are pretty much a dirty old diesel, so you crank them with another starter motor and get it up to a certain speed and pretty much pour the fuel into it. You've got to be very careful not to hot start them, so that's the key really. Don't put the fuel in too fast.
As well as Unlimited and A-Class were two formula classes based on engine capacity. The 6.2 litre crate motor required for CX class can't be touched. You race it just the way it comes from one of the three manufacturers. As a result, it's a cost-effective way to go racing. At speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, these boats are going faster than Unlimited boats of only a few years ago. It's super competitive, and 8 teams lined up in the Southern Bulk Transport sponsored class, including one Canadian.
I've got Rick Hollingsworth here, and I know you're a gas turbine man all the way from Alberta, Canada, and I come over and watched your race at Grand Prairie, and I mean, it's awesome that you've come all the way to New Zealand. And I'm a little bit concerned about all these New Zealand dollars you've got on the boat. Is that how much you're going to burn when you're here?
That's getting close. We might actually be over that, I think.
So why did you pick on that? What sort of boat have you got here, and where did you get the boat from, basically? And you're in a CX class, which I think we need to just talk about. Why did you pick that?
More or less just for the reliability of the CX, the braided river, the braided waters. You can slow them down and you can read the rivers a little more. Like the turbines are it's full wide open, 120, 130 mile an hour river boat racing for that style. So for me, I just wanted to finish the race, come with a reliable engine and really put up a show.
So what sort of speed are you getting out of your CX boat?
Right here, we've hit just 102, I guess, so far.
Which is pretty good, really. I mean, I reckon if you've got a reliable boat anywhere in that plus 90 to 100 mile an hour bracket in New Zealand on New Zealand rivers, if you could start and finish every day without a push or a problem, you'll be pretty up there on the pointed end.
That's what we're hoping for. We just want to get up and down every river, and if we can not push as little as possible, it'll sure help. So
since you've been here, you've boated a few rivers. Let's be honest, have you done any pushing?
We've wore out a couple sets of paddles already, I think.
FX uses another stock 5.7 litre engine. Rated at 355 horsepower, boats will be running close to 90 miles per hour and the smallest engine capacity offered at these World Champs. 8 teams fronted this event, including one from South America.
Got Andreas here and Alex all the way from Mexico. Now, you're the first Mexicans ever raced in New Zealand. I mean, this is just absolutely fantastic. And I know you've done a lot of racing and probably an FX class in Mexico too. And I think you've selected the right class to come out here to race, because this is a very competitive class and I think it suits our rivers in New Zealand. How are you going over here?
Oh, well, we've been having such a good time. The country is beautiful, the rivers are beautiful, and we look forward for the race.
So rivers compared with Mexico, we talk like 10 and 12 cubics. You talk thousands of cubic meters of waters in your rivers.
Well, there are different rivers that we race in. Some of them are similar to what we saw today at the Waitaki. And that's more close to the Balsas or the Tecolutla River, and we have rivers with larger flows. We don't have anything close to the already with those 15 or 20 cubics. The lowest we have been on the Balsas would be like 50 or 60, and at the Tecolutla River we're running at 80.
So I remember putting you in this morning and I said to you quite clearly, just go 2 Ks down the river and come back to the trailer and we'll take you down the pleasure boat. No, you didn't listen, because I wasn't speaking Mexican, and you went all the way to the bridge. I mean, that was fantastic. So how did you find it? You're the navigator.
I don't know, but the river today was really great and has a lot of roads in the middle.
There's a lot of places you can take your boat into.
Yeah, and I think as you get boating and the weeks go on, you'll get better and better as a boater for these types of rivers, Yeah. And of course weather changes and it's not easy if the rivers are dirty, and we're going to have a lot of different rivers between now and the end of the race, because we've got 950 Ks. Are you happy with your boat?
Yes, it's handling well. The engine seems to be working beautifully, so I'm pretty confident that in terms of machinery, I have what I need to get to the finish line.
Hey, thanks, and I really appreciate you coming, and thanks very much, you guys, and I wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you very much, and we're very happy to be here.
There was even a touch of nostalgia.
We're standing inside a boat here which is just about out of its place here at this race because it's a V-bottom. Everything it's from the 80s, but this boat is what we call bring out the old boat to come out boat racing. It's fantastic. Twin turbocharged big block Chev 454. It's what we had in the 80s. I remember 21 of them lined up on the Rumohunga River in the World Marathon, first time in 1980. Absolutely fantastic. This boat's presented well. He's gone for reliability. He hasn't got the fastest boat in the race. He said he's got a 90-mile boat. And Nigel Butterfield's a good driver. And a 90-mile boat in some of these rivers is probably all you need. If you can start and finish every day without any problems, that's all you need, because you get the Oriti River with 12 QMEX. This boat will be unbelievable because it's a V-bottom. And the tunnel hulls struggle for around some of the really tight corners. So I think Nigel, the way he's presented this boat and coming to this marathon is just fantastic. And we may see some more older boats come back out of the woodwork. They're only sitting in sheds. You may as well bring them out and use them. And this boat's, Nigel said, has done 300 hours on the hour meter. Now, 300 hours racing in the rivers is pretty good. It's won world titles and everything. So, you know, this is really, really good to see.
It would start on the Waitaki River, just north of Oamaru, and 40 boats from 3 countries lined up for the start.
It's a picture-perfect day today on the Waitaki River, the first leg of the 2013 World Jet Boat Marathon. We've got 60 k's upstream, 60 k's downstream, third leg, which is very unusual, another 60 k's up. It's 180 k's in one day of the 950 k marathon. 4 degrees here this morning, very, very crisp. But hey, great day for the turbine boats because this is certainly a high-speed river.
A lot of very good boats here, so this year's definitely a step up, but Hef's prepared the boat pretty well, so we'll just see what happens. There's a lot of water coming down this river, so you sort of take it for granted that you think it's relatively easy, but there's some big pressure waves and lots of channels that we probably both used to that aren't there now. So yeah, we just need to be careful, and it's the first day of a marathon, so we've got to finish 7 days of racing, so we won't be trying to set any records today.
There's some hard corners and there's some higher chop in the corners, so we can get out of shape easy on. So I just want to get it, like I said, I just want to get it on the trailer right now.
Well, it's a long marathon, so I mean, to have a chance at the end, you got to be there. So you just got to lay down a decent time. Doesn't have to be nothing special, and just make sure we have a good clean run.
Don't have a whole lot of experience on these rivers at over 100 mile an hour, and so it's going to be fun. It's going to be some learning done, I'm sure. First leg, you never push real hard. You just try to get through it and make sure everything's good. I got a real fast guy coming behind me, so I'm sure he's going to catch me, and I won't be catching the guy in front of me, so it'll be an interesting run.
Well, I'll tell you what, we own the boat, and it's a worthless pallet. Whatever, if we don't use it, and Pops is probably last ride with me, and where we can't catch those turbines in North America, they're a little too fast for unlimited class and a piston. So we own the boat, so we're here using it. I brought my mom and my father out for a holiday, and we're here to represent the Northwest Territories.
As expected, the turbine-powered boats of Derry, Humphreys and Williamson led the way. The upstream leg dominated by the 3 times New Zealand champ. The fastest piston engine on leg 1 was Dale Whiteside, but fellow Canadian Spencer King grabbed back that lead downstream. He might have been on an old package, but the father-son combo from the Northwest Territory showed they had what it took. Whiteside was just happy to be in the mix.
I think Spencer's maybe got me by a little bit now. I had a little mistake at the top end of the last run, but definitely in the top 5, so I'm stoked about that. I was pretty happy. I didn't expect to be there today.
Kiwi Garth McMaster was the early money in A-Class, the turbo 3.4-litre Toyota, hard to beat in near-perfect conditions. McMaster's reputation for finding the small channels and shortcuts positioned him well. His old boat was being driven in a similar style. Newcomer to river racing Ben Baxter from Winton found himself in the skinny water on the north bank, but pushed on to find a way back to the main flow. Battles started early in the 2 Formula classes. Paul Cross and Aaron Morrison fought for the daily CX honours, with Cross in front by 15 seconds at the end of the day. Dwayne Terry had his opposition's measure in FX, leading Mark Agnew by more than 2 minutes. Everyone had their own agenda, but were all trying to find their way and their place in the field.
Gord's boat's fast, it'll be faster than us. So tomorrow he'll pull some time on us. So yeah, we're just, I guess we're trying to take a bit of time out of him when the rivers are like this, which is what he's not used to. And he'll definitely take a bit of time tomorrow. So yeah, they're both fast guys, so we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, we had a smoother run on the way down. We're more in the mix with the pack, with the leading boats in front of us. We were same times as them coming down, so we're just getting back into the mix now after a slow run on the way up.
Yeah, I think we're just pushing a little too hard, probably coming into the corners and stuff. Just need to slow down and get our bearings before we, take a wrong channel or make a wrong decision.
They're pretty aggressive coming out of corners and just coming into corners, washing the speed off. So totally different drive style to the V8, and that's where we struggled in the last race when we rolled it. So we're just trying to get back in the seat and get comfortable again and try and keep these boys honest.
We had a pretty good run up this morning and pretty clean, but the run down wasn't quite so clean. But we're up and down, and that's kind of what we're here to do. So 2 leads out of 3 today, so get one more out of the way.
Reeled in them, so that's made up for some lost time this morning. So every day's a new day.
By morning, boats were assembled in Balclutha on the banks of the Clutha River. Canadian Darren Weaver was back.
Darren, I'm looking at this engine. You've got a very well set up trailer, but isn't this engine actually supposed to be in the boat?
Yeah, it was in the boat. We had to pull it out. We lost a belt yesterday on the leg 2 coming down, and we had some oil problems, so we had to switch it out.
And that's a bit of an issue because when you get a DNF, did not finish, you're not eligible for an overall anymore. But hey, you're still eligible for a class prize. And hey, you're here to race, and that's what you've done. You've bought a lot of spares to back yourself up.
Yeah, this is our last spare, but you're right. We're out of it for overall, but we'll keep pushing and try to work our way back up.
So what's the combination of this engine? Just quickly tell us what this engine is.
It's a 470 cubic inch, and it's a big block. It runs around 900 horse, and we just had some bad luck yesterday.
Mark Cromie was impressed by the consistency of the FX boats. The Formula V8 meant most of the difference in times was driver skill. Cromie's own son Nigel was in third, but Cameron Moore and the ex-Rick Hollingworth Eagle was right on his tail, with another Cantabrian Nick Sullivan joining Chris Campbell and Greg Simpson to make up the FX field. It was Dwayne Terry, though, who had the early control.
It was amazing in leg 1, 2 and 3 on the Waitaki that when I looked at the times, differential on 2 upstream runs, 60 k's of racing, 2 seconds difference. So either you're very, very good at doing the same on the river every time.
Yeah, well, I think with these crate engine classes, you're pretty much fully tapped from day one, whereas probably some of the unlimited guys that are doing much bigger speeds sort of take it a bit easy and sort of feel their way under it, whereas we get off the start line, it's foot flat to the floor and we don't lift it till we get to the finish line. So yeah, we obviously managed to pick the same channels the second time as we did the first time, and yeah, to get it within 2 seconds surprised me a bit.
So you started leg 1, at what position and where did you end up?
We were seated 28th overall, and then we finished the end of the day 13th, so we're really happy with that. We're in amongst few of the big boys. We've got unlimited CX boats behind us, so we had a pretty good day.
Yeah, and that's another class, the CX class you were talking about, how close their racing is, because you and the FX boat is sort of like 2 minutes ahead in your field.
Yeah, we're, like I say, we had a fairly good run yesterday, and we managed to pull a bit of a buffer on our closest competitors, but yeah, in the CX class, I think there's 15 seconds between the top 2 guys, so it's awesome racing.
Is that because you probably know the boat builder in that FX, the boat you run here? I was told you sleep with him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we design and build these kilo crafts, so we spent a fair bit of time before this marathon dialing this one in, and got it going pretty good.
But the proof of that would start right in the heart of Balclutha.
K2, circuit runs, 50 k's of racing, 5 laps, mass start. Extremely good boating. Great day for the turbines because they can really put the speed up here. These turbines will run at anywhere around 140 mile an hour downstream. And later on this afternoon, we've got 2 70k runs up to Belmont. There's lots of rocks on the way, and of course those rocks are attached to New Zealand with a 70k run down. So it's a big day today on the Clutha River, and certainly the turbines will probably excel.
Things started unravelling for the turbines.
He's just had a spin, John Derry, so what his problem is now, he's got flame out in the gas turbine, which means he needed to shut it down because it would just seriously get too hot. He's had to do a restart. Now, a restart on one of those is a procedure. You've got to wind the engine probably for 30 to 40 seconds, drop the temperature under 200 degrees, then you can put the fuel in, which is at 5,000 revs, then it'll ignite. He's having problems doing that at the moment. Away he goes. He did exactly, I think, is what I said. That's cost him a lot of time. What's coming back out the back is burnt or unburnt Jet A1.
Yeah, I think it was the second or third run around the top mark. Yeah, just a bit hot into the corner and hit some wakes, and around we went pretty hard. We were probably, probably 120 miles an hour, so to go at a 360 at 120 miles an hour is fairly violent. So a lot of water over the side, and yeah, it took us a few minutes to work out where we were and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, well, the turbine flamed out, which is what they call it when they stop, and so there is a bit of a process. You can't just hit the starter and away you go. So it takes you a few minutes to get the temperature back down and then crank it back over and get it started. But yeah, look, we probably lost a couple of minutes, I'm thinking. So we're still going, which is a lot better than some, which is good.
Next, Gord Humphries took a ride on the wild side.
It's caught a little pressure wave there, had a little too much speed on, but yeah, couldn't adjust the wings fast enough, so we hit the sweet spot. So yeah,
what does it feel like when it does that?
Oh, it goes pretty quiet. Everything's quiet, and you just wait to see what's going to happen. You're on a fine line. These boats, they're all about balance. It's about balance on them, and as long as you get the balance with them, then they'll pull you through a lot. If you have the balance off, it's game over. So it looks like we're doing all right. So it was a little bit of a good one.
Despite near catastrophe, the Canadian halved the gap to the race leader. Meantime, another Canadian was sneaking up the order, Spencer King bringing the big block forward up into third outright. He might have been in a lower class, but Garth McMaster punched above his weight.
Of course, now we're up in A class and we're getting, up around that 800 horsepower out of it, so it's a lot to ask for a wee engine. And I know we're a bit out in the front in our class, and we're looking at the overall boats up on the top, but it's just a sort of a bit of a playing field now, whether we sort of look after our class or keep in touch with the front six boats, really.
McMaster showed his class the way en route to Beaumont for Leg 2, extending his lead in A. Gord Humphrey was the best of the turbines, now back to 3. Regan Williamson had rejoined after being sidelined with battery issues in the circuit race. At the Beaumont turnaround, Gord Humphrey had narrowed the lead back.
Down to 12 seconds, that's good. That means we get to get down and get racing. That's good. That's good racing.
The biggest losers were Canadians. Chad Burns out with engine problems, and Spencer King parked up near the finish with drivetrain failure. Dwayne Terry handed back much of his hard-earned lead in FX. Downstream, the battle of the turbines raged. Humphrey down to within 6 seconds of John Derry. Dale Whiteside took control of the piston fight, but Kiwi Rob Pooley charged hard in just muscles to stay in touch, 5th outright. The CX lead swapped too. Paul Cross back to 3rd with Aaron Morrison assuming the lead from Canadian Rick Hollingworth. The Canadian now comfortably into 2nd. After 2 days competition, John Derry led from Gord Humphrey by just 4 seconds. Dale Whiteside was the 2nd Canadian in the top 3, with A-class leader Garth McMaster set to pounce as they moved into his home rivers. Rob Pooley was just 8 seconds behind McMaster. Regan Williamson was 6th, but he was out of contention for overall after failing to start Leg 4. Baxter, Collins and Sutherland all occupied the next 3 places with just 30 seconds separating them. The CX boats of Aaron Morrison and Rick Hollingworth rounded out the top 10, while Dwayne Terry was fastest of the FX machines and 17th overall. The Waiau, southwest of Invercargill, was home to the third leg, and the weather lived up to its reputation.
We're day 3, 2013 World Jet Boat Marathon. We're as far down south as you can go, the bottom of the South Island. We're on the Waiau River, 70 k's up, 70 k's down. That's a long haul. In the rain, it's not a very nice day. This river's dam fed. It comes out of Manapuri, so it's controlled. It's got about 40 cubics of river. It will be a hard river to boat because the day is so dark. The water's brown, very dirty, and you can't really see the shingle bars. And there's big rocks up the top as well. So, hey, it'll be a challenging day, and it'll certainly be a motor winner today.
Oh, I don't know, Mark, about loving this sort of weather, but yeah, we do love Southern. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a good little, strong little motor. It's a Toyota 3.4 litre Supra. It's pretty well souped up. It's pretty highly stressed, but seems to be handling the pain good.
I'm just looking for the Mexicans, and where do I find them? Inside the truck with the heater running, trying to get to the 40 degrees like it's in Mexico. You must find it really difficult out here with our weather.
Well, yeah, the weather is not what we're used to. We are used to make boating in a much more adequate weather.
So yesterday you had hail, you had rain, you had wind, you had everything, and today you've got a lot of rain, and it's a very unpleasant day. Hard to read the rivers, hard to see, because It's quite dark.
Yes, it's quite dark, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Just like home, isn't it, Dale, in Canada?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not snowing quite as hard, though.
Yeah, no, you're used to the cold weather. I know this isn't even cold for you guys.
No.
Like, you're minus 40, minus 50, and we're actually plus 8.
Yeah, we don't usually have to race in the minus 40, minus 50, though, but this isn't too bad.
Hey, your boat's going really good, and it looks good on the water, and hey, you're very consistent, and that's all you got to be in a marathon, isn't it? It's a long way to go.
Oh, there is. Racing doesn't really start till tomorrow. That's when all the good stuff starts to happen. So
the Ariti is one of those good rivers.
It is, yeah. Yeah, Ariti and the Dart, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough day, and it's got that real low sort of cloud stuff in it as well. So most of us haven't pre-boated the river because of the water's just come down. So it is going to be a tough day, and you'll have foggy visors and a lot of rain. So yeah.
Sean Kelly rejoined after missing the last 24 hours with mechanical dramas.
I've got Sean Kelly here today, and I know one leg's all you did the first day, and we've missed a few legs. So what's the problem with the boat?
Correct heads. We got a lot of water in the oil, and got up the top of the Waitaki, water in the oil, and missing. We had a plug lead off going up the top, so yeah, pretty devastating doing that.
Well, it's jet boat racing. It's always gut-wrenching. You have positive days and bad days, and today it's your sort of weather because you live down here, so it could be quite positive. And let's put the plug leads on properly.
Yeah, put all the plug leads on this time, yeah.
Right,
should help.
Darren Lawn was also back after issues in the circuit race.
Darren, you had a bit of an interesting day yesterday, and I wouldn't have been like to be in your boat when what happened. You just explained what really happened yesterday.
Well, I didn't want to be in my boat yesterday when it happened. Well, I was trucking along and the old throttle jammed on full, and I didn't want it to jam on full, so we had to come through a bridge and turn it off at the right time, and then, yeah, I was really scared, put it that way.
But wide open throttle, and that is a different motor than anyone else is running. Like, this thing's seriously grunty. It's a supercharged big block, and wide open throttle, and you couldn't control it is not a very nice feeling in a jet boat.
No, it's not a nice feeling. Like I said, it's the scariest I've ever been in my life, but hey, we got through it.
Well, you've got a bit of a rig here. I mean, it looks really good, and you've certainly got the biggest tow truck. You know, there's no doubt about it. You win that award for the biggest tow truck.
Also win the loudest noise and the most fuel.
The loudest noise, most fuel, and the biggest tow truck. Well, look, we wish you all the best today on your 70k up and 70k down.
Morrison and Cross battled for control of the CX Formula class, but Canadian Rick Hollingworth and Tim Scott were keeping them honest. Weather was testing the driver's nerve. Tony O'Loughlin was running midfield, while Craig Robinson's Radioactive diced with smoke on the water. Jason Young had been in catch-up mode after engine issues on day one. Rain, high winds and debris in the river had caused plenty of grief on the third day.
back in Invercargill a little early after day 3 because the river was very high, conditions weren't very good, it was raining, very safety conscious, of course, the Jet Boat Association, and they've got to be really careful because you're talking high rains, high winds and rising rivers, which means hard to put helicopters in the air, hypothermia can set in if people have problems. Like this FX boat here of Nigel Cromie's, all it took was a stick like that in front of the blade and you can't get up on the plane and a few stones in the grill, but this was really the main thing. It wasn't actually a Nigel's day because we had Nigel Butterfield had a real issue with his boat, and of course his boat is 1984, brilliant machine, twin turbocharged. It probably suffered the same issues just with a stick in front of the blade. They tried to tow the boat to get it up on the plane, then they were going to cut the rope. Very thoughtful of how to get a boat on the plane, but it didn't work, and Nigel of course got a DNF and ended up being trailered home. Gord Humphreys, he broke a drive shaft and actually broke out of the boat and smashed the gearbox, which he was only 4 seconds behind John Derry. Now, John Derry's now got a lead of something like 11 and a half minutes on the field.
Actually, Mark's not quite right on that, but we did have a driveline failure, and it in turn came up and did some gearbox damage to the oil pump, but the actual gearbox is sweet. Everything is good to go there. We just need to get our hands on a oil pump, and drivelines being built right now, so hopefully we can be up and running.
Perhaps this problem started yesterday with people like Spencer and Gord, because I noticed the river was just like driving over corrugated iron. It had a terrible ripple with the wind and the current in a different direction. Wasn't big pressure waves, but that ripple goes right through the boat at 100, 120 and even up to 130 mile an hour. It's terrible on the drive line, very hard on engines, very hard on crankshafts. Of course, in strong winds on this sort of river with big pressure waves, you do suffer kiting. These light boats, like the FX boats, Mark Agnew, particularly the white one, suffered major kiting and problems. He was probably very lucky to get to the finish line. He's a good driver. He's done a lot of this type of driving, but it can be very, very dangerous. If you kite one way, end up on the rocks, of course, you could write your boat off all yourself. The Oreti River was always destined to be cancelled on safety grounds if the water flow fell below 17 cubic metres per second. As it turned out, organisers needn't have worried. It's 8:45 on the 4th day of the 2013 World Jet Boat Marathon. We're looking at a river here with about 15 cumecs, and of course if you look at those rocks over there at the moment, I don't believe you'll see those rocks in probably a few hours, because there's 160 to 180 cumecs of water up the river, about 70 k's. It's on its way down, and that's going to be a very challenging day. You've got a lot of debris in the river. The river this morning you'll run will be a different river this afternoon, and that'll certainly make a big difference. I'd advise people not to park vehicles so close to the water, because the vehicle will be under the water.
Well, it's pretty big water up there. There's lots of pressure waves, and I mean, it's a totally different river right now. But there's one bridge along the way. I don't know if we'll even fit the boats under it. So.
But Chad, were you in the right river? Because I'm looking at the river out here and there's like 15 to 20 cumecs. You were clearly not in the right river.
Well, it's coming. We'll be underwater if we keep standing here in a few hours.
Are you sure about that? Because it's nothing out here.
Positive.
If the flood's coming, we were down this lower level and it's still kind of clear. We got about 28K up and it's just white water and dirty water and sticks coming down. So I'm thinking by this afternoon this whole beach is going to be underwater.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a good day. A lot more water than we're expecting. Looks like it's going to be a pretty high run, lots of shortcuts. All of our pre-running will be thrown out the window, and we'll just have to drive it hard.
We talked yesterday about, floating stuff in the river like little sticks and that, and it just shows you how these big machines with this sort of horsepower can get a stick jammed in front of the blade. It cavitates and you cannot get the boat up on the plane. And this is out of Nigel Butterfield's boat, which was built in 1984, but this is probably the first stick he's ever had in his unit.
Expect a lot of water down here. What you're seeing is not what you're going to get later in the day.
There you go. They aren't going to race all the way to the top, but they've got 4 legs today instead of 2, so they're shortening it up to 2 40k runs and another 2 40k runs in the afternoon. So still the same distance, and the river's going to be totally different this afternoon than it is this morning.
Before the start, Rob Pooley reflected on the decision yesterday to cancel the downstream leg of the Waio.
Yeah, I think it's one of those times when common sense prevailed, and there was a bit of talk amongst some of the more experienced racers. We were looking at hypothermic conditions there, no problem at all. If somebody got stuck up there for any length of time, there was the potential for a disaster. So I think it was totally the correct call. But interestingly, when they put the question out, they asked hands up everybody who doesn't want to race it, and there was a lot of hands went up. So then they said, how many hands up everyone who wants to race it? A few hands went up, and all the rest of the guys said, well, bugger off then, go and race it.
And that was probably a pretty good call, to be quite honest. But today's going to be an interesting day. I mean, we've got a pretty low river out here at somewhere between 15 and 20 cumecs. Would you perhaps because your experience, what's this river really going to be like today between the morning and afternoon?
Oh, it'll be a challenge, make no bones about it, because it's got its own unique characteristics. We're going to race into that morning sky over there, this straight into it, sun on the water, so that in itself sets you up for a lot of concentration. But there's a tsunami coming down this river, we all know that. It's 180 cubes up the river and about, as you say, 20 odd down here, so that's going to bring a wave of garbage and so on, pressure waves. It's a very contained river, so it gets very angry very quickly.
One of the best things about this river today is its parking ability here. The back stream, and they've all parked here in a line, and it's actually very impressive looking. Normally the Arete, you find a place really struggling to stop, but there's a guy cleaning his jet unit out there, and the boys just pull the boat out of the river and check the bottom end. They don't have their trailers here, so maintenance is pretty limited really. And of course there's a guy in the river, can you believe it, swimming around behind the boat checking all the jet units. I mean, that's pretty... shows you the ability of some of those people. It's pretty cold in that river.
It's definitely not the Arete that we would have expected today, but yeah, actually it was very much like the Waio we had yesterday, very rough, and there was a lot of big pressure waves in the Arete, which I haven't seen for a long time, but yeah, a bit unfortunate, but yeah, we just played it safe coming up.
This is Dwayne's boat, who's leading FX class at the moment, and he says he's got a bit of an issue. He can't get the boat up on the plane very easily with the blade he's got in there. He may even have a stick in front of the blade like they had yesterday, a few of the problems. So they were just being cautious by pulling the blade, so they've pulled it out of the river. They're going to take the blade off and change it. They don't have a lot of time to do this, but I think the guys are pretty good. It should take you guys about 4 minutes and 38 seconds, because I did a blade change once in a river race.
We're only a minute
They're only a minute in, so they've got plenty of time. Chunky in here, you know.
Dwayne Terry was okay, but Rob Pauley was not.
It's looking like our jet units let us down somewhere in there. Just not sure until we get it out of the water, but just suddenly poof and lost all power. But happy ending, easy to the bank, and out we're back here now, so we'll get back on the horse.
Starting a turbine is very different to the usual V8 engine. Mark Cromie provided a rundown on the firing sequence of Regan Williamson's turbine-powered jet boat.
So just before it gets noisy, I'll just give you a little bit of a brief on what happens. He basically engages the starter motor, which is a 26 horsepower starter motor in the front and nose of the gas turbine, which spools it up to 5,000 RPM. He then turns the fuel on. The fuel then ignites at 5,000 RPM and it ground idles at 15,400. So the start procedure takes about 24 seconds from engaging the starter motor to actually firing the engine. So this boat's got a braking system and he can turn off the jet unit by actually pulling a handbrake on, so he can fire the motor and he doesn't have to worry about where the boat's going to head. Now that's the igniters and the starter motor. He's then going to spool it up to 5,000. Then he's going to add the fuel and you'll hear the burner start when the fuel gets turned in. There it is there. And then it'll ground idle to 15,400. I know enough about it. Well, people don't know, they like to know what the hell goes on, don't they? It's got a handbrake, so it's not pumping the pump, which is bloody good, you know? Mad scientists did all that. And they've got a left-hand bowl and stuff on it.
By the halfway stage of the fourth day, the first Mexicans to enter the world event here in New Zealand were still on track to start and finish every leg.
Andreas, you're all the way from Mexico, and I know there's a lot different sort of racing here, but how did you find it today?
Oh, today was not that hard. The river is kind of flowing because we had so much rain yesterday, so the water level is high, so the river was not that difficult to navigate.
So you told me you had a bit of a light coming on, and what was that, an oil pressure light?
It seems to be an oil. It's both an oil pressure and a water temperature gauge, and we are a little bit low on oil level, so we're filling it up, and it should go. The oil pressure, the gauge is okay, so I'm not concerned about anything.
Right, you don't seem to be concerned about much at all here. You're just having a great time.
Well, yes, I'm having a great time, and everything's working well with the boat. So I think we are. We have what it takes to get to the finish line.
So the temperature difference in the day between here and racing in Mexico, would it be like 35 degrees difference?
Probably. Right now we are about 6 or 7, right? So yes, in Mexico we are racing between 32 and 35.
Perhaps you need to talk to me about what do you think your fellow people would like it out here? Like, how have you found it, and would you encourage other Mexicans to come out here?
Oh, definitely, yes. It's a great place to visit. It's a great place to race in. The rivers are beautiful. And yes, Mexican racers should come because I'm having a great time and they would too.
K-Jet driver Sean Kelly was caught out yesterday, pulling up well before the finish, and Mark Cromie wasn't about to let him forget it.
So Sean, yesterday was an interesting day when I was standing about 10 k's from the finish line at the where the water comes out of the power station, and you pulled up. What happened?
Well, you were standing there. I thought you wanted to do another interview, Mark. We're in it for the media as well, you see. I want to promote our company.
Well, that's quite a good idea, but really, if you're in a race, you really should get to the finish line. I know I had to talk to you and said, what's wrong? And you said nothing. I said, you stupid bugger. The race isn't for another 10 k's.
Yeah, it was, hand up. Wrong, got it wrong. Yeah, we've only ever raced up to the dam, up to the power station, and just assumption. There's a danger of assumption.
Yeah, but it is important that when you're perhaps in the back end of the field that you do realise there's another 25 boats pulled up. So today when you go up there, make sure that when you stop, you see a flashing light, checkered flag, and probably another 25 boats pulled up.
Yes, and the screen on the GPS, the transponder, that's got to tell us too. But
Oh, you didn't read that then, the new technology.
I'm going to blame the navigator for that.
Cameron Moore had struggled to gain attention at the front of FX, but shared a moment from the Clutha 2 days ago.
I've got Cameron Moore here, and Cameron, you've had a pretty good consistent run, and it's very close between you FX guys, and this is a hull which has come out of Canada, which is the ex-Ricks Hollingsworth boat, and you seem to be doing really, really well in it.
Yeah, we're still there, Mark. We're just trying to be consistent and finish every leg. Yesterday, the conditions were pretty trying. The rain, the rising river made it pretty hard. But our big moment was actually on the Clutha. We got past Mark Agnew, and as we just went to pass him, we hit a pressure wave and the boat went straight up in the air. So that was an exciting moment.
How do you think you'll go in this river?
It's pretty tight and twisty. Unfortunately, this boat, when it's come from Canada, it's got a different steering system in it. It runs the twin system rather than our New Zealand steering system, so it's got 1.5 turns lock to lock. So we're going to be pretty busy around some of those corners. We just ran out of time changing the steering system over, but we won't use that as an excuse. We'll just try and get to the top and get finished.
So that must be challenging on those tight corners. What do your arms feel like after it?
Tired.
A bit tired.
A bit tired, yeah. But it's great racing in the FX class, It's been pretty maintenance-free so far, and we're looking forward to the rest of the marathon.
John Derry continued to dominate the afternoon runs on the Oreti. Plenty of debris and plenty of results changed hands during the 4 legs of day 4. So John Derry has opened up a 10-minute lead over Canadian Dale Whiteside after 4 days of racing. Ben Baxter has Paul Collins chasing him down, while 4 CX boats dominate the remainder of the top 10. Bonar Anderson is a lone A-class competitor after Garth McMaster dropped a front pulley. And a feisty Dwayne Terry is mixing it with the big boys in the event's smallest engine capacity class.
The river did rise this afternoon on the Oreti, and the rocks are certainly covered over. The Oreti's certainly been a major game changer here. With on the upstream leg we had Rob Pooley with issues, which of course gave him a DNF. On the downstream run we had Garth McMasters with another DNF with issues as well. So this river has been a motor breaker, and it's probably because it's got big pressure waves. You've got to be really, really careful, but there has been some serious changes in the overall position of the marathon on the Oreti.
There was a lay day after the 4th day of racing, and there was plenty to do in and around Cromwell.
That was bloody good. There's a lot of fun. Those machines are really good, and the track's quite good, and it's really safe because it's got a lot of safety features, and the karts are really good quality karts, and that's good to see because a lot of tracks they've never spent any money and put a decent kart track in here, and that's why it's such a great place to come. 2013 World Jet Boat Marathon Lay Day. Now this is probably one of the best days we've had. Beautiful weather, no rain, 18 degrees here, and we're based in Cromwell. Plenty of things to do in Cromwell. A lot of the teams have been down here go-karting. Absolute fantastic motor racing facility here at Highlands. 2.8k racetrack. Like the guys, it's brand new, this facility, and this is just fantastic for something like Cromwell. There's been guys, of course, been up the Dart River practicing for tomorrow, running aground and how to push. There's been guys working on their boats. There's been guys in tour operations and jet boats, just seeing what they were like in Queenstown. So it's been a pretty busy day, and then there's those guys who've been fixing their boats, ready for tomorrow. So hey, this is a great day, and it's great for the tourism of Cromwell.
Oh, I've been up the river today, had a look. Yeah, it's looking pretty scary up there. Yeah, it's all changed since last week.
We broke a cam belt yesterday, about 90k an hour on a corner, hit a tree, launched about 1.5 meters in the air, straight into a cow paddock, broke all the intake manifold all at the same time, so yeah. big rush to get it all fixed yesterday, but we're up and running, so looking forward to the dart.
Piston came apart probably. All the spark plugs are smashed up, so have a little fun now. Okay. Something a little different, not quite the horsepower I'm used to, but at least it's still running, unlike mine.
Day 5 of the 2013 UIM World Jet Boat Marathon. They had a lay day, and of course over there is where the river is. You go across the lake and you find this channel that comes out of the river. You've got 32 k's up, 32 k's down. Challenging day, river's dirty, lots of rocks, rising river and into the rain. So in the afternoon again, 32 k's up and back down, so it'll be a great day. A lot of boats have rejoined this race, which have basically had issues, and they've had a day on lay day. Like you've got the Canadians here, Gord Humphreys and his turbine boat back in the race. You've got Rob Pooley back in the race, which is good to see. So it will be a great day on the Dart River.
The demise of Garth McMaster with engine problems on day 4 meant an opportunity for a new A-class leader.
I've got Bonner Anderson here leading A-class all the way from Nelson. How do you think your chances are on this sort of river? And I think it suits the type of driving, because I've seen you in the rivers and you love hard, difficult days, shallow rivers, hard to read, and that's you.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. You know, a lot of the other crews, I'll get out there and pre-boat this sort of stuff. We all get out there and just take it for what it is, which, yeah, hopefully today it's shitty, it's going to be gnarly. We've even got a bit of rain in glorious Queenstown, Glenorchy, but hey, let's get at it.
Hey, just tell us about your boat and perhaps your motor combination, because I think it's an awesome setup, because you put a lot of work. You've been boating a long time and you know what you need in the boat.
Well, the motor combination is an all-alloy 458 small block, built by Jim Richmond over in Canada and freshened by Greg Hiddleston here in New Zealand. The boat is a Kilocraft, 19'6". It's a nice lightweight package. The whole boat weighs 460 kilos minus fuel. We get going in a lot of places where guys are out pushing and we'll boat on past them.
Yeah, I've sort of seen you sometimes. You know, it's not even, the stones are not even wet, and you're going past it in that channel, different to everybody else.
Yeah, as I say, the boat, it's light and it's very slippery. Sometimes it's a big handful to drive, and hey, if we stuff it up, we stuff it up big time.
By lunchtime, between the repeats of the 2 legs, more changes had occurred.
We got stuck in behind Bonner and should have backed off and got a bit of a bit of distance, but we were stuck in his roof tail. He went down a shit channel and sucked us in with him. So he got stuck, we got stuck. We should have just backed off and let him go, but it's racing. It was just getting hot, so we just sat out in the lake, let it cool down. I think we missed our cut off, which is a bit disappointing, but hey, that's the way it is. That's racing. It was his fault.
Terry's huge lead was dragged back to just 24 seconds, but the DNF for leg 14 meant the best he could do was aim for a class title and no overall placing. The man on his tail was Mark Agnew in 5:14. Some relative newcomers to jet boat racing were making their mark.
We've got Jason Young here all the way from Canterbury, and Jason, you're a good shallow boater, and this boat's actually got a bit of history. Just tell us a little bit about this boat, and you sort of new at it too.
Yeah, well, it's my second year at it anyway. But yeah, this boat, Andrew Stewart won the Worlds in this boat, and Johnny Sutherland got a world class and world title in B class back in 09, I think it was, when we had the Worlds here, yeah.
Yeah, Jason, you had a problem on the first day. You had a major spin, and what happened there?
Yeah, we just come up through a part in the shallows, and I hooked around too hard to the left, and we clipped a pressure wave, and we helicoptered at about 90 mile an hour, and yeah, and lunched the motor pretty much, or filled it up with water anyway.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing, but at least the engine isn't real expensive. It's a controlled class CX engine, which is a 6.2 litre all aluminium. They're not that dear, and you've put another engine in, it's going really well.
Yeah, luckily Aaron had a spare motor there, which we've borrowed for the rest of the marathon, which was good of him, thanks very much.
So how did you go on the run up and the run down today on the Dart?
We had a good run up, yeah, pretty clean all the way, but coming down we took a little wrong channel to the left and had a wee spin into a pool and then carried on from there, so yeah.
So have the boys given you a new nickname, like the Spinner or anything like that?
Not just yet, but if I carry on the way I am, I'd say it's coming.
Rightio, so you're ready for this afternoon's challenge, and yep. What was it like up there? Like, could you see, or was it hard to see?
It was varied conditions. It was pretty hard to see, pretty hard to read, with the watercolour being the same as the shingle.
Yeah.
But no, it was good, and also raining pretty hard up there as well.
Hey, we've got one of the CX boats here. I know we haven't caught up with you the last few days, and it's Tim Scott from Christchurch. And hey, this boat's got a bit of history. Tell us about the boat and how you're finding the marathon.
Yeah, this boat was John Derry's boat. You'll notice it's actually got the same scheme, so it's a mini-me of his turbine.
Yeah.
The same colour pattern. Loving the CX. Started out in B class about 2.5-3 years ago. We did the marathon, had a good result in CX when it first came out 2 years ago. And then got this one last year, got it going, so all's going well in CX. Some incredibly close racing. We're about 3-4 minutes apart between four of us, with the two in front of me being within the minute. So we're catching up to them, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and I look at the back end of the boat with the motor. It's beautifully laid out, very simple, very clean, which makes it easy, isn't it, to look after?
It is, yeah. No, it's a simple setup, and it's not very often that you could get to the end of a marathon. Hopefully, get to the end of a marathon. We'll certainly get to day 4 and be able to drink the bilge water out of it. And it's actually a testament to the CX motors. They've certainly had a thrashing. I don't want to put a cursor on anyone, but fantastic motors and really fantastic for the sport.
So how did you find the river? Like, you've done 230, 235 run, K's up and back. How did you find it up there? Is it challenging coming down?
It's definitely challenging. Quite a bit of wind blowing us around. These boats are very light, so they're very susceptible to the wind, so it's how you trim it. Of course, the colour doesn't help, so you're really reading off the top of the water. All in all, I haven't had much luck with the Dart in the past, but we had a good run up, good run down, so very, very pleased with the way the day's progressing.
And you pre-boated the river yesterday?
We had a look some of the way up until we got stuck letting some commercial boats pass, so we stopped there, just didn't want to get stuck up there last night, so we came back, and I'm still not convinced about pre-boating. I'd never actually been on the Waiau before. We didn't pre-boat the Ariti, didn't pre-boat the Clutha, and the only one we had pre-boated was the Waitaki, and that was probably our worst run, so still not convinced on pre-boating.
So Ben, you're currently in 3rd place, and you've got quite a buffer really going into this new river. So what really happened today on the downstream run?
Oh, just a corner that come back on itself, and it sort of caught us out a bit. Boat did a couple of hops and sort of spun down on the shallow stuff.
Was there a moment there where it might have looked like it was going to go over, or was it pretty safe?
Nah, we would have been lucky for doing 40 mile an hour, just slow, tight corner.
So how much time do you think you lost?
Probably the best part of 3 minutes. I think we had roughly 9, so we're still sitting safe in 3rd.
That's all it takes, isn't it? One little bloody wrong turn, and it makes the difference between getting down here cleanly or not.
Yeah, we thought we were stuffed, but we got away with it.
And tell us about the engine, because this is a bit of a unique engine. It's a lot smaller than anybody else's, but it's got some big turbocharging on it.
Yeah, it's a 5.6 Nissan V8. It's twin turbo, run about 15 pounds of boost at about 6 grand, so it ticks along all right.
So what sort of fuel do you run on?
We're on E85, which is ethanol.
So you're probably the most green boat out there then, all the rest of the big polluters, and you're not a polluter at all.
Yeah, something like that, but we're using a bit.
Yeah, because it uses about another 30% more fuel, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You have to put quite a bit in it.
With Bonar sidelined, Stephen Price looked to jump into the number 1 A-class spot.
We've got Stephen Price here, and actually I think you've done a really good job. Like, at the end of the day, you could be close to winning A-class just at the moment.
That could be possible, Mark. Bonar had about a 4 or 5 minute lead on us, and he was stuck on the way up, and he's just come in behind us, so ever hopeful we might be getting closer to him.
Yeah, and just tell us a little bit about the boat and what sort of, what was it like coming down the river?
The boat is okay, we've got wings down. It's just hard to read the river. It's all brown sky, and where you think there's water, all of a sudden there's gravel, and you're just powering over stones like anything. It's unbelievable.
Does it do damage to the bottom of the boat, or, what's it made of under there?
There's a lot of bisalloy, Mark, these days, as you probably well know, mate. No soft aluminium anymore, we're all bisalloy.
And it's amazing where they do go, isn't it? Like at the speeds you guys are travelling in. What sort of speeds are you coming up down this?
This is a new boat, and we've just barely started it, so we're probably topping out about just 97, 98 miles an hour right now.
Yeah, but that's a fairly fast clip in a river like this. It's that braided.
It is. We're the foot's right to the floor. We're down 6.1 RPM down there, and that's what we're hanging into.
Did you pre-run the river?
I ran it yesterday.
Yeah.
I went up 4 times, up back, and on the last leg we got stuck twice and had to get a towboat to push us and everything. So we gave up and went home after that.
Well, it was interesting because I spoke to Bonar, who was leading your class, and I said, did he go up the river? He said, no, he didn't. Do you think it's an advantage?
There you go. Excellent.
I think you've clearly got an advantage, right? And I think it's worthwhile looking. It doesn't always, you're not always in those same channels.
No, you're not. And that's part of the problem, isn't it? You think where you're going to go and you're completely different.
But his reign was short-lived. Canadian Darren Weaver charged back with a new motor and grabbed the lead by the end of the day. Again, no overall placing for Weaver, but the class honours were his to lose from here on in.
Been an extremely challenging day today with 140 k's of racing on the Dart River. Everything's been thrown in. Bad winds, rain. The weather conditions are atrocious up the top. Hard to read the river. He had a flame out, John Derry, on the way up on the last run today, and that's really dangerous in a gas turbine shutting off at 110, 120 mile an hour. He refired it, lost about 4 minutes. Dale Whiteside from Canada said it was probably the worst boating he's ever done in his life, and the hardest boating. He's still in second position. And Derry wasn't the only one. Boat 63 had oil pressure problems at the first bridge, and he had to pull out and retire. The Mexicans, which have actually been extremely great boating, ended up running aground, I think once or twice, and never made it. It did not finish and it did not start, which has cost them dearly.
If we run aground, the Dart River is very hard.
At the end of the day, though, the Mexicans, that has been extremely challenging rivers because they seriously don't have these sorts of rivers in Mexico, and they've done a great job to get their boat up and down every stage on every river. One more day to go, and of course the Clutha could be really tough with strong winds, big pressure waves, but the Matuki-Tuk is a real issue because braided river again, very similar to today, and they are saying strong winds again.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest rivers I've ever raced. Really pleased to make it. It was very difficult to read, without a good navigator and a whole lot of luck. You just don't make it up and down. Starting and finishing every leg is the most important right now, not so much the speed. John's got a faster boat than me, and he's got to start and finish everyone too.
Yeah, we lost a few minutes going upstream today, which is probably the first time it's let us down, so we still don't know why, so we'll have a look at it tonight. And it just flamed out in the middle of nowhere, so we had to push for a couple of minutes to get back in deep water. It restarted, got us gold, and away we went. So we lost a bit of time, but we're still in the running. So we pushed pretty hard upstream both times, and probably cruised downstream a little bit because downstream was really tough. So, but yeah, no, I have to say, seeing this lake was pretty exciting when we got to it tonight, which has definitely been a tough day. But Matuki-Tuk tomorrow morning is a tough river as well. We just hope it's not dirty.
The Matuki-Tuki River running into Lake Wanaka was on the rise. Overnight rain had the river flow well up on normal. Huddled under umbrellas, teams wrestled to be ready for what would be 2 very wet legs on the Matuki. Dwayne Terry admitted to taking advantage of the ruling on derived times allocated for not finishing a leg. In his case yesterday, waiting to cross the line at the finish to use penalty late time gave him a better time than his actual leg time.
Dwayne, you had a little bit of an issue yesterday and leads change a little bit, but you run a tactical race, I'd say, and you run aground on the way down. What really happened there?
Yeah, well, we got trapped into the old, got sucked in behind another boat, and instead of letting him go, we stuck with him and he went down the wrong channel and we got sucked in behind him. So their own fault, but you know, by the time we got going again and we got the boat going and we was running a bit hot with getting stones jammed in the grill and all that, we got out in the lake and we realised we only had a couple of minutes for our cut-off time. We thought, well, it's stupid, you know, we'll just sit here, let the boat cool down and we'll play a bit of the tactical game and take the DNF.
Yeah, and that DNF's worked on the slowest boat in your class plus 20%, so if it taken your time, you probably would have been 3 or 4 minutes worse off, or even 5 minutes worse off.
Would have been probably 15 minutes worse off. So we're taking obviously it's a bit of a risk, because if somebody else in your class has a slow time, you get their time plus 10%. But lucky for us, everyone had a clean run, so we lost our 5-minute lead, so now we're only leading with 24 seconds, so it's game on.
Well, 24 seconds is not a long way in a river race, is it?
Especially not with the Matuki. You know, it's very braided, and with the conditions today, absolutely heinous. So it's going to be tricky to see, and so we're up against it, but we're going to have to go hard now.
But looking at this crate engine class, the FXs, sometimes I've looked at the times, they're exactly the same. So a guy's driven a 50k race, and you're not even a second apart.
Yeah, well, we with Mark Agnew on the last downstream leg, we were 1/100th of a second apart on the Ariti. 100th of a second, so that's pretty close racing.
Dwayne's now given away the chance of an overall because he took the penalty, and when you get a penalty you're not eligible for overall, but he's still in there with a class prize.
Darren Weaver was in the same boat, so to speak. Out of the overall placings after his engine blew, the Canadian was fastest in A-class using derived times.
We've got Darren Weaver here, and Darren, you've had an interesting marathon. You've had an engine blow up, you've changed an engine, and you think, oh, this is the end of my marathon, but it isn't the end of your marathon, and we sort of failed to sort of see what happened yesterday. You've leapfrogged everyone, and you're leading A-class.
Yeah, currently we are. We had a good run on the dart on 4 legs yesterday. We just got ahead of Stephen Price. We're leading by about 33 seconds, but there's 3 more legs yet today, and the Matuki's really hard, so we got to make sure we get on the trailer on this one as well.
Yeah, but if you're clean on the Matuki and then they've got the Clutha, your boat is very fast, and the Clutha can be a bit lumpy, and you do drive hard, and it's your type of river racing.
Well, I hope so. Like I said, we do have to get off this Matuki. It's my first concern right now, so if we can get to the Clutha, hopefully we can pull some more time.
We may have started this marathon with absolutely brilliant weather. We're certainly going to finish with extremely bad weather. Yesterday was bad. Today, which is the last day on the Matuki, took 2 40k runs in the morning, followed by a race this afternoon down the Clutha, another 75k's. It will be interesting. It will be hard. This river normally flows at 40 QMX, running at 125 and rising. So it won't be easy boating, but hey, anything can happen in jet boating, and it will be a great day.
We'll get these things wound up. It'll be interesting today. We've got 3 turbines off the front of the grid. John, I'd say, will be a little bit conservative. I've got Gord right behind me. He's trying to prove a point as well. So just going to be some good fun this afternoon.
Yeah, visibility's going to be terrible. I'm thinking the water's going to be the same color as the rock, so lines are going to be a little tricky, and of course when it's in flood, it's just, water's going to be everywhere. There's going to be bars everywhere, so it's going to be messy.
We went boating the other day here, and I believe this river is a little bit less tricky than the Dart, so I hope I can make it up and down.
It's going to be another tough day. Visibility will be the biggest problem on this river today because, low cloud and lots of rain. So from our point of view, we need to start and finish every leg. So, hopefully the old Charlie's boat gets us up and down.
The weather was worse than expected, many drivers describing it as the worst conditions they'd ever raced in. Second-placed Whiteside was lucky to get through. A 12-minute push eroded his hold on second, and Ben Baxter closed the gap to just 4 minutes. The Mexicans made a great fist of their run, reaching the top in atrocious conditions. Organisers conceded the downstream leg on safety grounds, and everyone trailered to Wanaka for lunch.
So Nigel, how did you find the leg on the Matuki this morning with those sort of conditions out there?
Oh well, we've only been in for 2 years, we never boated anything like that before. Couldn't see the boat in front of us mooing the rooster tail. We could hear them, but then on top of that there was pressure waves and we managed to catch flight. The flying was alright, but it was the landing that hurt us.
Yeah, the fog was probably the worst thing because, you know, you can race in rain but you can't race in fog because you just can't see anything, can you?
Yeah, that was the thing. The pressure waves are fine their own and the rain's alright, but when it's a mixture of fog and you can't see 30 metres ahead of you, that made it hard for us.
And I think it was a good call for the organisers to actually turn off the downstream leg as far as safety goes, and as far as a father goes, I think I felt a little bit better about that too.
Yeah, well, we got to the top and I was seriously considering not boating back down, but I heard the officials called it off, so I thought that was a good call.
There's one more leg to go on the Clutha this afternoon with 75 k's down the river and across the lake, and of course the lake section could be cancelled if it's too windy, but at this stage it looks like it's on.
Boats were sent out in overall positions for the final leg rather than speed. John Derry led off down the Clutha River from the outlet of Lake Wanaka, but Regan Williamson was steaming through in the other Kiwi turbine. No problems for Whiteside, holding down second outright in the UIM Worlds amongst some blistering competition. Ben Baxter's twin-turbo Nissan V8 showed the first signs of unreliability, and he and Michael King backed off to reach the finish and snatch the third podium position. The man who had dominated from start to finish, though, was John Derry. Already equalling the record of 3 New Zealand marathon wins in a row, Derry and Brent Hefford from Blenheim brought the NZ1 home to win the Mark Cromie Holden Heli Otago World Jet Boat Marathon.
I've got Dwayne here all the way from Gore, of course, in your FX boat. It's been a bit of a challenging last couple of days for you, but you've actually pulled it off and you've pulled a win in FX, which is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, we couldn't be happy. We thought we'd thrown it away on the dart when we got stuck, and luckily the DNF rules worked in our favour. We got to the end and made it, and the old ZZ4 hung in there. So, yeah.
And it's shown it's been a really reliable class. Like, none of those guys have really done any work with those FX. It's really the right class for young people to get into.
Oh, it's great entry level. You know, there's not one of these FX boats that's broken down. It's just been brilliant.
And that's fantastic racing. Your boat, like it's a 80, nearly 90 mile an hour boat downstream, which is pretty fast for 355 horsepower.
Oh yeah, we've actually hit 92.5 in it, so it's honking. It goes good.
It's pretty good. Hey, I wish you all the best, and to win a class like that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we're wrapped to grab the world title in FX. Couldn't be happier. Awesome.
Hey, Paul Cross, you've had the dunking here. You're soaking wet. That must mean something. And of course, you're in this really flash CX boat. It has done extremely well for when you come all the way from Gore. And you've said to me, you borrowed the boat. How can you borrow a boat?
Look, Mark, we last year I helped Dwayne Terry out in the New Zealand Marathon, and we sort of got talking and thought, I don't really need to be trailer crew anymore. We need to be doing this ourselves. And Dwayne had a wee word in Neil's ear, Neil Ross. Neil had this boat lying around, come back from Canada. Was over there in 05 for the Worlds, and yeah, we just put a package together and run it. So no, it's been good. Yeah, it's been excellent.
This class is really, really good. It just shows you can do it without a lot of money, because you've had no real issues all week, have you?
No, we had a charging issue up the Waio, but I think it was just water related, just because of the wetness. But no, the boat's run strong. Hasn't been any issues. Just yeah, it's cheap, good racing. It's good.
And that's really good to see. So how much did you win by on that CX boat?
I think we went into this leg with about a 2-minute buffer, and we kept Tim behind us, so pretty sure we'll have sort of a minute and a half on him. But it's been like the start of first day one, 26 seconds between 3 boats. It was incredible, and it's sort of been within that couple of minutes all week, so it's been good.
Yeah, but 950 k's in only 23 seconds or a minute and a half, that is unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's good racing. That's why we got in this class. Like FX is the same. Like it's brilliant racing.
I've got Darren and Scott here. Just sort of say, what is it like to come to New Zealand all the way from Canada and race these rivers? 950 k's. It was beautiful, wasn't it? Like the weather was not. No, it wasn't.
No, it was tough running, and fortunately Scotty rides with me, and he's done a real good job navigating. We had a little bit of motor issues to begin with, but all in all, it turned out good for us.
So what's it like, Scotty, navigating for a guy like this who has, I know he's got a turbine boat, 140 mile an hour boat at home, and then he comes to New Zealand. This is difficult, isn't it?
It's difficult over here, but Darren's a good driver, and we get up and down the rivers together well, and get along good.
So how did the fog go? Because that's been an interesting challenge. That not many people had fog chucked at them, have they?
Well, we had one day on the Waiau that we thought was bad, and then we got going this morning in the fog, and we were like, holy man, you know, just tough to see, and the river had changed so much, but we got it done, and we're happy.
But it just shows you that if you push the boat, you blew your motor at day one or earlier on the stage, you changed the motor and stayed out there to say, hey, we can have a shot at this, and now you've just won A-class, which is like unbelievably good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a really good feeling. We're happy.
An unprecedented fourth consecutive marathon for John Derry, with Dale Whiteside a deserved second. Ben Baxter collects a podium in his first world event. Paul Cross picks up fifth ahead of 4 more CX teams. Mark Agnew rounds out the top 10. Worthy of note was that 9 of the 14 jet boats to start and finish every leg were FX and CX class, proving the reliability of the Formula classes.
4-time New Zealand marathon champion and first-time world marathon jet boat champion, 4 times in a row, which has probably never been done by anybody in New Zealand, and certainly in a turbine boat. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, look, it was a great event, and definitely my navigator got me through this one, so it was tough, real tough.
Yeah, and they threw all that weather at you. Like if you had sunny days on the first day into the terrible fog this morning, I mean, that was really difficult.
Yeah, this morning's was the worst leg I've ever raced in a boat. It was dangerous and it was tough. So it was the right call to call that one off coming downstream. But there's a lot of people that had a tough morning, and yeah, it was a long event, but great to be over now. I'm freezing cold.
This is the 2013 World Jet Boat Marathon. It was 950 Ks over a week racing. It had everything thrown in. Bad weather, beautiful days, fog, rain, shocking conditions. But today is the last day on the Clutha. And of course, this was won by John Derry. John Derry, 2013 World Champion. His 4th win in New Zealand in a row in a gas turbine boat, which is absolutely unbelievable. And you know, that's very, very hard to do. And of course, second, Dale Whiteside, all the way from Canada, which is really hard for someone from Canada to come over here and boat our difficult rivers. And then of course Ben Baxter in his V8 Nissan. I mean, that was just extraordinary, the speed that machine can do. And of course his ability to race, because he races those small rivers, and he found this river today extremely hard, but hey, he third as well, and that's a great achievement for someone.
The Mexicans might not have won the world title, but they won the hearts of everyone. The first to conquer rivers considered the hardest in the world to race. For Andres Wilson and Alejandro Rizzo, the accolades and respect of all their competition. Stories, some tall and some stretched, began to flow. Some as large as the rising waters they'd just left behind. But one thing was for sure. No one would underestimate just what had been required to finish this marathon of all marathons. The 2013 UIM Mark Cromie Holden Heli Otago World Jet Boat Marathon, held in the South Island of New Zealand.
And we'll catch you next time.